Okay. Oh, whoops. Well, I was going to do welcome everyone. Normally I do my countdown, so I apologize for those of you who are joining us. We are a bit late. I had some technical difficulties. Actually, this morning has been a lot of chaos. So I'm thankful that Ryan is here today. So yay, Ryan, I appreciate it. Know that as we kick off this morning, I want to first, let me start over. I want to welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to anyone who's out there. Let us know in the comments below where you are joining in from. I can see that, sorry. This morning, I want to first, so everyone knows that I am working really hard to get better at my technical abilities. And so I'm not so super great all the time, although I've learned not to say that I'm not good at it. I try to manage everything all at one time. We've got quite a few people out there. So again, for those of you that are joining us, thank you for holding on for a few minutes because we're late. And second, for being patient since I didn't do a countdown. That's normally how I kick this off. And thirdly, make sure that you let us know down below where you're calling in from. I am here in Houston, Texas. Before we do intros, Ryan, tell us where you are calling or where you are located.
I'm in Southern California. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I keep seeing my screen lock up, so I don't know if I'm frozen on your all's end, but I'm in Southern California. I tell the world and the country I'm about 45 minutes east of Disneyland, little city called Canyon Lake in California.
Very, very cool. Did you actually enjoy a lot of time there at Disneyland?
Yeah, I've been very privileged. Two of my cousins one's an engineer there and one does the construction. So I haven't had to pay those prices for about 2.5 decades. So we go often.
That's awesome. I love that. Yay. Well, we won't spend a whole lot of time doing my introduction. Most everyone, if you are here at the Caff-AI Chats, you really know who I am already. But Ryan will do his own introduction because I will most certainly do him a disservice. But I do want to share how I met Ryan, and I try to do that with all of my guests. I met Ryan actually in a group that we belong to. Corey Warfield was one of my guests. In fact, I think he was actually one of my first guests when I rejuvenated Caff-AI Chats this year. So we're in a cool community, which I love. Ryan's super cool, and we actually geeked out on softball. He's got a whole story to tell around softball and his experience, and his daughter who's played in a D1 school. So anyway, super, super cool information or things to learn about Ryan. So I've not known him for a super long time, but he's got some cool things happening within the AI space. So I'm going to turn it on over to you, Ryan, and please, if you would, do a better job of introducing yourself so that everyone knows who you are.
Awesome. So thank you for having me on. I'm excited to speak and talk a little bit here. Just in a nutshell, my background, I was my uncle was an IBM guy. So when I was a young kid, he was bringing home computers, and I was turned on to technology pretty early. I'd say about 1979, 1980. I was pretty much a geek and just geeking out on machines and really just wanting to fix, like, sound would go bad on a game, or, the video wasn't working. It was like, hey, Uncle Terry, how do I fix this? And he's like, here's a book, boy, figure it out. So that's kind of how I got into tech. And then that just kind of evolved. And I went on and later in life and got a couple of degrees in computer science and telecommunications. Because I was a geek in Linux, I got turned on to the Bitcoin white paper really early. And I read that thing just numerous times back in the day and just fell in love with what it was and the whole concept and everything about how that worked. So obviously learned more about blockchain, and then got involved in a lot of projects. And whether it was, just coming on and being a moderator in the beginning while I was learning what was going on in this space in their, Discords and Telegram. And then I moved into more C-level positions doing growth and marketing and tech. And I was into 3D modeling before I ever heard of the metaverse. I was doing that in the real world. I built houses out of hemp that run on batteries and solar. We did communities, and So we would, build the houses so people could do the walkthroughs and those kind of things. So that's really how this all got me to kind of where I'm at today. So hence AI started to come out, and to be quite honest, we just had multiple companies and we were lazy. We wanted to find ways to save time and save money, and AI started to hit. And this is, before even Chat GPT-3 really got popular. We were just messing around. And, for those that were in the space at that time, it wasn't the most efficient and proficient tools out there. It was just really cool. So it wasn't easy to find ways to utilize it. So you either waited for the technology to get there for everybody, or you just put your head down and tried to figure out ways to do little things that can help you here and there. And that's really what we did. So we built a lot of really cool tools. And then now I'm my company Unchained. We have a metaverse, and I just to clarify, like I see metaverse as a verb, not a noun. I don't think the metaverse is a place. I think we will all be metaversing here in the next year or two, just constantly. That's just where we're going to be. Doesn't matter what chain you're on or what metaverse you're in. It's not a bunch of silo walled gardens. So we have that. We have a lot of community engagement going on, and we are using AI. So we have a private AI solution that is obviously different than what maybe Chat GPT and Anthropic or these other things that kind of go out and scrape the internet, right? So you're really just dealing with a lot of plastic in the ocean, if you will. Even when you're trying to train your models and get your models to be the ultimate employee, right? Well, there's a lot of things out there that are just not accurate. There's AI hallucinations. There's all these different things. So what we do is we go in the background and we create personalities, if you will, writing styles. And now you can have a personality, but your data is also in a vector database. So this is everything about you or your company. So if you can kind of see where I'm going with this, is the approach is, instead of me going to an open AI or something out there, I need security, right? Most businesses do, and that's a big focus. So we come to realize really quick, like, look, enterprises and businesses are not really using the open AIs too much in their companies because they're afraid of security, not right. Because there's a big learning curve. They're willing to bite the bullet and bring people on to do that, but there's that fear of the security. And if you guys just noticed, Congress just came out last week and banned all government employees from using any AI tools on business because of these reasons. You're putting too much out there, and you really don't know who's gathering it and where it's going. Another example, New York Times is suing, right? Copyright suing Microsoft and OpenAI right now. Why are they doing that? Because they're going out to the internet. It's the only data source they have. So they're scraping all that stuff. They're actually infringing on copyrights from New York Times stuff, and they're regurgitating it and like, oh, we came up with this wonderful thing. Well, no, you didn't. You took it from New York Times, or you took it from whoever.
Right.
So that's where we're a little different, is you're now only gleaning. You can still use the open live on our platform, but you're really gleaning your private AI information, and your outputs are of your personality. Denise, if you went on there, I'll give you an example. We got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as one of our clients, right? Asa Hutchinson, Danica Patrick. They're going to speak in a certain way. That's their tonality. That's their empathy. It's their data. And then conversely, my friend's kid, he is the number one snowboarder in the world right now, and he speaks completely different than Robert F. Kennedy. That's important. And that's really important when you're conveying to external audiences who you are, that real conversational connection and everything. The more authentic you are, the more engaging things are. And that's what we've really kind of captured. And then I'll just, I'm rambling quite a bit here, but just trying to give a base. The other thing we have that some people are doing right now, and maybe just not, to the level or the way we do it, but we have something called MIA. That's the Membrane Intelligence Asset. So Mia is like the best employee in the world. She's never going to get pregnant. She's never going to need a vacation. She's never going to need workman's comp. She's going to work 24 hours a day. She's never going to complain. And she's going to do exactly what we tell her to do. And she's going to save us a ton of time and a ton of money, just handling all of the arduous things that can be trained. And Mia learns us better. She gets better in time, and she understands our data, and she can restructure our vectors, and she can do all that. So that's a little bit about our company as a whole. But anything you would like to talk about, I love this. I could talk about it all day. So.
Well, you covered quite a bit. You even covered some hot topics, which is what we usually kick off Caff-AI Chats. Man, this has been a crazy morning. We usually kick that off with some hot topics, but you've already covered them. You talked about Microsoft and OpenAI being sued for copyright infringements, and maybe that's where we can chat for just a brief moment and chat GPT versus a bit more about your solution, right? Which is, when we put anything out there, in the past, we've always known that when you put pictures and you put information up there on the internet, that we have an opportunity to expose ourselves and our data, right? So when that data is injected into the internet world, someone can use that. However, when you've got websites like Wall Street Journal or whomever, most of that information or all of that information is copyrighted. So when we are gathering data, leveraging ChatGPT, it's scraping anything that's out there, whether it's copyrighted, for example, like the Wall Street Journal, or not copyrighted, like our stuff. And so we get this mixture of information, and so we think it's okay to leverage, when in fact it's not, because some of that is copyrighted information. So I find it really intriguing and interesting that we are now in a time where we are going to see more and more people step up to protect their data, which is why I think you launched Unchained, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Just, and again, selfishly, we did it, Denise, because we didn't like the security issues, and we didn't, I have an IT company for 30 years, an IT outsourcing firm. So, knowing how much of our data really does get out there, being, having your thumb on the pulse and working in the industry, that was scary for us too. Like in the beginning with the AI, we're like, man, don't be putting out stuff. We do not know yet what the heck who's getting it, who's seeing it. So it was a fear for us. So we selfishly said, you know what, we need to have our own private data. We need to keep this in a vectored, permissioned, secure area, so that when we need to go get some data, especially if it's creating our own content, it needs to be out of our repository, if you will, but it's a vector database. That's exactly why we created that.
So then let's talk about that for a brief moment. When you talk about a vector database, so if, say, for example, we're going to use my company as the example, although I don't have a whole lot of data that would be very valuable to generate any output from. But that being said, let's just say, for example, you're coming to Success with AI, right? And we're going to create this vector file. So that when I do a chat GPT like prompt in Unchained, it is going to go to that vector file to collect the data to generate the output. But what am I putting in that vector file? Is it only my company information? Is it things that I pull or resources that I have pulled potentially from the internet and given a feed to the vector file? I mean, what is that data that's actually sitting there?
That's an awesome question. And here, let me put it to you this way. You would look at our platform like a salad bar. Okay. And what I mean by that is, some people like olives, some people want sunflower seeds, some people want carrots and onions, some people don't. So my thing is, what do you put into your membrane is really up to you, because your membrane is this location that you decide my external audiences can now conversate with me. They can either email my membrane, or they could text my membrane, or I could drop my membrane into a WhatsApp channel, or I could drop my membrane into a Discord and handle communities, Or like what we're doing in the metaverse is I'm dropping my membrane into avatars. So what you put in there, you know, the old saying, right? Garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
Whatever you're putting into that membrane, you want to be pretty pragmatic and pretty versed and knowing what you want to display to that external audience, but also your internal audience, meaning your staff, your people. So if your content team, your social media team wants to go into your back office where we just have tons of tools that you can use, then that's important too, because you might want to vector that out, right? Like the CFO is putting their info in there because you own that, Denise. You own that database. We don't own that. That's your data, not ours.
Okay, so then in order to feed that vector, you're putting out there a membrane, right? Which I would, in layman's terms, I would coin that as a data collector, right? So you're putting a data collector out there, which you call the membrane, anywhere you want it. So you can collect the data from your internal systems. You can collect it from a source externally, wherever you want to put that data collector. That's, you at least tell it what you want to collect, where you want to collect it from, and then it feeds then the vector, correct?
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it. I mean, just look at it like a Google Drive.
Okay.
I have one folder, and in that folder, I'm going to put a bunch of PDFs or Word docs or information, whether that's like, here's all the items we have, here's our vision statement, here's our mission statement, here's our values, here's, you know, the details, the granular things about our company that we would conversate with you if we were in person. But now you can just conversate with our Mia or our membrane, if you will. Now you can go to that asset and your external audience can do that. So it's kind of like a Google Drive, and you can upload whatever you want. And then within seconds too. So let's say, you know, just for instance, I don't know, let's use like one of our clients is a athletic scholarship company, right? And they help student athletes get into college. Well, what if some rules changed this quarter for recruiting practices?
Mm-hmm.
So your data in there, it can't be static. You've got to have an easy way to update that. So now you can just simply go into your quote unquote Google Drive or membrane, and you can say, you know what, that file I put in there has all this information that people are talking to us about. We need to go in there and edit that. You can go in there and you change that out. And then just as soon as you hit save, it's within seconds. Now they get all the new data. So you're not stuck in old data where, again, if I'm in an open AI world, I could go prompt that thing 3,000 times in a row and I'm still just going to keep getting the same plastic in the ocean spit back at me. This is specific, hyper personal.
Got it. Okay, so then let's go then the next step. So we've collected this data, which in essence is a Google Drive. If we want to liken it to something, we can liken it to a Google Drive. It is whatever you want to put out there. So that really then is the membrane. So the Google Drive represents the membrane. And then you have the Mia, which is your virtual bot or virtual assistant or whatever you would like to call. You've just named her Mia, right? Which is similar.
Of the year.
Do what?
So I just said she's like employee of the year. She learns everything. She does everything for you. And sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead, but I'll tell you a little something extra about Mia.
No, go ahead. You go ahead with Mia, and then we'll come back to my question.
Yeah. So Mia, you know, before you even ask for output, what Mia does for you, and we take the AI out of AI. You don't learn anything in our platform. We do everything for you. We do it in the background so that you don't need to know anything. And I'll tell you, there's a little button you'd hit, Ask Mia. Mia's going to come up and she's going to go do all the work for you before you ask for any output. She's going to say, what's the role? Who am I trying to act as, right? Or who am I? What is the examples of what I want you to give me? And what is the target? And who's the audience I'm speaking to? She does all of that for you. So now when you have an instance and you want to go do something of a similar thing, you've got all your favorite prompts and you've got all your favorite things that Mia did all that for you. So Mia is your employee of the year. You don't need to go back in and re-prompt everything over and over. One, the 99% of the world does not know how to prompt properly. And that's not a dig against anybody. That's not putting anybody down. It's a fact. We're just not there. I mean, this industry, if it was a sporting event, we're not even to the tailgate yet. We're not even partying yet. We're not even in the parking lot having beers. We're not there yet. And so most people don't know how to do that. And that's what we're doing, is helping people just use AI and save a lot of time and save a lot of money. You have the configurability in ours to do whatever you want. You hit Ask Mia and now your prompt shows up, and we don't hide it. It's everything that Mia is doing for you. Now you can go in and change the variables. So just a stupid example. Act as an expert marketer. Well, take out expert marketer, change that to act as, be specific, Rand Fishkin, Gary V. You know, if you want to copy someone's style or whatever, then you can put those in. And here's the audience I'm looking for. You change the variables. So we make it super simple, cookie cutter. Like if you can send an email and have ever used copy and paste, you're going to be a rock star with Unchained Membrane.
Okay, but then my question is, when you are, because somehow you've got to give her the information so that she can be like Gary Vee, or she can be like, Ryan or Denise, right? In order to do that, she's got to gather that information from somewhere, right? So are you then adding that to the membrane or the Google Drive, or is she tapping into something else, within the overall Unchained product that enables her to gather the information so that she can actually be like those various individuals?
Awesome question. So here's the simplest way to say it. We have categories, and we kind of, if you want to call it, we secret shop. We have 2 people that are dedicated to look at AI products every day, all day. That's all they do. They dissect the heck out of them. They find out what's cool, what really works. Most of the stuff out there is like the .com era, a bunch of garbage stuff out there. Sorry to be critical, but there's a lot of garbage out there, and people have a lot of great marketing, and you're seeing all these ads and you're like, oh, it does all these great things. Go do a demo. It does 1/10 of it. We haven't found one that does anything that it says it does right now. And that's not digging on anybody. That's not a comparison. It's facts. We're in the .com era, and we got a lot of crap out there. Mm-hmm. And so my point is, when you go into ours, we've taken the best things that everybody wants, and we're very community dev that you guys create it. Like people that are our clients, they create what we put in the back office for you to use. Example, you want to do social media? Click on social media. Now you go into subcategories. I need Twitter. I need, LinkedIn. I need, YouTube, TikTok, whatever I need. What do I want of all these? Well, I want some short form posts. I want long form posts. Those now are already pre-done. We've already done that so that we know the LinkedIn algorithms. We know the TikTok. We know everything. So those are all pre-done. So every time you're clicking a box, you're really just automating a ton of prompts that are doing exactly what you're trying to do. Now, are we always perfect and we're going to nail it exactly? Of course not. Are we hitting it, 9 out of 10 times? Absolutely, because we're using what people are telling us they want. So if you were to go into marketing, or you go into sales, hey, I really want a sales script created, or I want you to analyze this document. We know what you're trying to analyze based on the whole reason you said I want to analyze this document. It's not a big secret. We know what you want. But then when you get down to category, subcategory, then when you say ask Mia, now you see what Mia's going to go get for you and what she's going to do for you. At that point, you look at it and go, oh, awesome. Hit the button, go. Or you look at it and go, oh, that's what I want, except then you can go in and edit it. So we're like training wheels for AI, right? You just go in, don't learn AI. Just tell us where you're going and what you're trying to accomplish. Just tell us your end goal, what you're trying to do. Mia will do all that for you. And then as you dwindle down, she'll tell you what she's going to do before, and then you can look at it.
That's very cool. So I guess my question to you is, what prompted you to even start Unchained, given that we have solutions like ChatGPT and Claude and Bod or Board, whatever it is, right? All those various different solutions. What prompted you to actually start Unchained?
Laziness. We wanted to save time. We wanted to save money. We did it for ourselves. And then our, partners and companies, they all loved it. And they're like, hey, we want that. That's really that's just being honest. I was lazy. I wanted things to be done faster and less expensive. And that's what we created. So when you say like, instead of, there is no instead of. The LLMs that we're using are just API calls, but you get a choice with us. So not only do you choose your data source, you could choose your membrane, you could choose a file you want to do something with, you could choose the live web you want to do something with, then you can choose which personality. Oh, I want to use my CEO's personality. I want to use Denise's personality. I want to use my janitor's personality. You get to choose the personality of how the output comes out, and then you choose the LLM. I like ChatGPT right now better than I like this. I'm not saying I do. I'm just saying you might.
You're using an example. Yes.
Yeah, just an example. Or I like, I like Anthropic better. Choose the LLM you want. So that's, again, back to the salad bar. We're really giving you the options. We're keeping it simple, but you kind of just go down the line. And then you say, once you get all that stuff put in place, then you go, okay, ask Mia, this is what I need. And then Mia's going to give you all that. And then it's going to reply as Denise searching your membrane. But it's using ChatGPT this time. Or you might go, that was pretty cool. Now let me see what the same scenario, what would Anthropic do? Because, right, an LLM is just a storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
The data is where the story's at. So if we're looking at it like a movie, right, and everything in sales and marketing is we're telling stories. Stories tell, and our stories sell, and facts tell. So we're taking the story that's in the vector, in the database, in the membrane, and then the LLM is going to tell the story, but your personality that we create for you is how that story is going to get told. Is it going to be told by Denise? Is it going to be told by the janitor?
So then my next question would be then, if I'm thinking outside the box, right? And I want to model maybe the way someone runs, let's use this as an example, the way someone runs their live stream, right? Can I actually include then in that membrane or the vector file, a video as a resource so that it can learn through the video as well? Or is it just limited more so to text and images?
That comes down to understanding the difference between a vector database and an object database. Object databases we have, and that's part of what we're perfecting right now, because it'll bring you videos, but in the interim, a vector can feed, it can feed videos up to you and everything, and that's really a technical difference, and I don't want to get that far down the rabbit hole because it gets really geeky. But yeah, there's a little bit of difference. But at the worst case, you could just put into your membrane, hey, this is the link to that video that I'm talking about, this, right? Okay. And then that link will come up, and people could just click on that link. But what we try and do is we keep everybody in the your back office. Like, you don't need to go out to Anthropic to do anything anymore. If you just want to search just like you would Anthropic, then you just stay in your back office, a membrane, and just say, I'm just going to do a live web search, and I'm going to use ChatGPT, and you just use it. Or you use live web and you want to use Anthropic, and you just use it, and it's just like going out there. Why leave? Why have multiple logins? Pain in the ass, excuse my language. But it's a pain. Again, I'm lazy. I wanted to save time and money.
Well, I just cussed too. We all want to save time, right? So if there are and that's why we're leveraging solutions such as ChatGPT. Although what most don't realize is, like you mentioned earlier, it's in the way that we prompt, which will reduce the amount of time. So if we don't know how to prompt effectively, it's still going to take us just as much time. It just feels like we are more productive when we are creating the chat prompt versus if we are trying to think it through ourselves. But in the end, we end up spending the same amount of time. So if there are ways that we can make this easier and faster, then why the heck are we not jumping on this? So I guess this leads me into, what is your most interesting maybe use case, or maybe client who has leveraged membrane to generate something? So generate something, whether that's a marketing strategy, or what, you can give me maybe some examples, but maybe your most interesting client or interesting use that you've seen.
Yeah, I would say the one that and that's so subjective, right, Denise? Like, to me, this might be the most exciting, but you talk to my co-founder and I know what he would say, and it'd be different than what I say. But right now, to me, I really like what we've got. A couple of big casinos right now that are doing some really creative things with their AI and with rewards. And I think it's like they asked us, can you do this? And we're like, yeah, we can do that. And so they're doing creative things. So I can't speak on that too much right now. So I apologize. So let me go to something else. The scholarships, right? This is really awesome because students and parents have a million questions about getting their kid recruited and into college. I mean, it's everything from what's the weather like at that school? How many, I mean, from that simple to what's the GPA needed? What are the SAT scores needed? How hard do I need to throw if I'm a baseball player? What does my bat velocity need to be? So what they're doing is taking all of that information that they answer all day, every day through emails, text, meetings they have with the families, and they put that into their membrane. And now you're asking this one gentleman in particular, who's a pretty famous guy in his own right. Most people in sports would know who he is. He's the one who you're really talking to him, and he's giving you all that information. To me, that one's really big. Let me tell you what my co-founder would tell you is the coolest thing we're doing. Coolest thing we're doing is this. Imagine this. Your grandfather is getting older, and he's got so much wisdom, right? And we want to talk to our grandfather. We want to talk to our parents. We want to talk to everybody, even when they pass in life. Well, what if he was putting everything into this diary? And now that diary is accessible from his grandkids. Oh, did I lose you? I don't know if I'm still talking to anybody, but I'll just finish my thought here and see what happens. But imagine, the ability for grandfather to write his diary, and you could go and ask grandfather anything. Hey, grandpa, I got this problem in life. How would you solve this? Or grandpa, what was that recipe grandma made for the chicken and dumplings? What was that cake recipe? All of those kind of use cases. That's also a really cool thing. So again, I don't know. I think I'm not seeing you, Denise. So I don't know if anybody's even hearing me. If I'm on here, might be talking to myself. If anybody in the group can post if you're hearing me. Oh, I see. Denise, electricity went out. If anybody's in the crowd, if you want to just be like, yeah, I hear you. So I'm not sitting here just talking to myself. Yay, tech world.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep, I'm still here.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know if I was talking to myself the whole time or not.
I am so sorry. For those of you, I need to look on the I'll look right now on the because you can't see who is watching through StreamYard, so you have to actually go to the event. So let me go look and see if we have anyone still joining us. But let's get back.
Corey just said, yes, we can hear you. What's up, Corey?
Awesome. All right. Yay. Well, I know. So sorry, this has been a crazy morning for us. Good morning, Sandy. Good morning, Corey. I'm glad Corey said he could hear us. I'm sorry for what just transpired. So in fact, yesterday I wasn't home for a part of the day and our electricity went out. And then again today, and it's not even storming. So I'm not really quite, so of course I'm plugged into everything's plugged into the house, right? While I do have Wi-Fi, I can leverage my phone, right? Or I do have the ability to, oh, good. No need to apologize, I think. Anyway, so I'm glad we're back.
Yeah, cool.
All of that. We were having some great conversation about Ryan and Unchained, and I want to just kind of summarize because I recognize the time and we need to start being respectful of everyone else's time and start wrapping up. But one of the things that I find super interesting is we're all trying to leverage Chat GPT or various other solutions such as that because we want to get a bit more help. We want to be more efficient. We want to gather information. We want it to help us do all these fun and creative things. But unless we know how to truly prompt, one, then we tend to struggle a bit with the output, right? And then two, it's also that we are extracting so much data. How do we know what's good data and what's bad data, right? So with Unchained, we have an opportunity to engage with a product that with what we call a membrane, and I say we like I'm part of the company, Ryan, but we have an opportunity to engage with the membrane, which is very much like a Google Drive, if you want to liken it to that. Allows you to input whatever information you want, which includes internet data if you so choose to bring in such data. But it gives you an opportunity to engage with it in a way so that when you get the information or the output, it is generally much better data because you have actually told it what kind of data you want in there. Fair summary?
Yeah, absolutely. I would just say we use this term all the time, but it's just hyper personal. It's not going to go to the internet and grab things that might be irrelevant, right? Like a good example of what you just said. Like if I'm priming, because we want to prime before we want output. So if I'm priming my prompt first to do that, if you said something like act as an expert level prompt engineer, well, is that definitive? No, because it's going to the internet. So anything that it finds out there that says I'm an expert prompt engineer, that guy's not vetted. We don't know that he's an expert. This could be some 17-year-old kid just putting things out saying I'm a expert. So that's really kind of, if in a nutshell, kind of a way to look at it.
Oh, yeah. So I just put this up. So I agree that, it gives us an opportunity, I think, to really and I use the word uber personalize. I got corrected and told I was incorrect, but that's kind of the terminology I use, uber instead of hyper. Nonetheless, but if you look at Corey's, it's a lot to read, but I had an opportunity to talk live with him about it, and it was so super cool. So he had an opportunity to create this prompt so that it ended up prompting itself. So he was watching it as it was giving the input and the output all at the same time. It was so super cool listening to him tell that story.
Yeah, I know. He's awesome. He's got a special skill set, and he's just that guy, right? Corey's just very pragmatic and very well learned. He really has understood this, and experience is the best professor. When you do something a long time, you just get really good at it. And he's just got that brain. He's absolutely it's a lot of fun to watch Corey do what he does because he gets there quick. And then that's kind of what we're trying to do. And like Corey, we're trying to help you have a Corey. That's what we're trying to do with Mia. Mia's kind of like a Corey, like they know what to do for you. You don't need to learn all this stuff. Mia can help you. Your Corey can help you.
I love that. And at this day and age, we need as much help as we can to make sure that what we're generating is real good data. Real, not real good, but real and good data.
Yeah.
So Well, I know that we're getting close now to wrapping up. I wanted to first thank everyone who joined us. We came on late and then we had a little glitch in the system. So we're glad that there are still people out there who are participating and enjoying the conversation. I also want to thank you, Ryan, for joining me this morning. I know that we haven't known each other super long, but I love what you're doing with Unchained. I also love how we can talk about softball, which is a whole nother story that, a whole
Yeah.
nother opportunity for us to chat about. But I am super excited on, all that is to come, which if you could leave maybe some parting thoughts for today for the audience, what would those be?
Be very careful with any proprietary company data when you're out there doing that. Just know that we're just not there yet on all the securities and the things out there. That would be one thing I would say to people, is to just be aware of what you're really putting out there, and really just keep learning and keep having fun, and enjoy this. We're again, like I said earlier, if it was a sporting event, we're still on our way to the tailgate. So once we get to the tailgate, things are going to be a lot more secure. They're going to be a lot more laid out. We're going to get there, and it's just, be patient, but also engage. That if you think that there's going to be companies in 2 years that are not leveraging AI in multiple ways, and if you think you're not going to work with it in your everyday life, you're fooling yourself. You already are, and you just don't know it. There's AI all around you. It's just those little pieces are doing well. They figured out these little kind of one-trick ponies, if you will, that do something very well, and it's one trick. We're getting to a much robust thing. So I would just say to everybody, the same things that I do, and I know Corey's on here, and he'd probably say the same thing, is just keep playing with the tech. There's not all of it's perfect right now, but once you understand what you can do and hone down to what can really help you, you're going to save a lot of time. You're going to save a lot of money. You're going to put yourself in a advantage versus maybe competition, or just to save yourself the time and money. Like my laziness, I want to save time and money.
Who doesn't, Ryan? I mean, really, who doesn't? That being said, I think that that all of this technology is not the wave of the future. It is the wave of today. I mean, if you are not leveraging these new technologies, or at least learning how to potentially leverage them in the future. So if you're not in there trying to understand them today, there is a period in time in which you will then start to die off the vine, right? Well, you will not be an effective organization or a leader or any business, right? I mean, so
Right.
we have to take advantage of the solutions now, get out there and learn. I thank you then again for being here. And I see Corey said, that's it, just play with it. Most of it is free, and it is the interactive user guide. And I agree with Corey quite a bit. If you don't know Corey, be sure to follow him. But speaking of then how to get in touch with or engage with you, what's the best way to do that, Ryan?
So you could just hit me direct, Ryan at unchained.io, but it's UNCHAIN 3, the number 3D. So it's like unchained3d.io. You can hit me direct. I'm easy to hit. If you'd like to go to our website, we have unchained.io, same thing with the 3. And in there's a click to Membrane, so you can see a little bit about our metaverse and what we're trying to do there. And more info on the Membrane would be there as well.
Great. And thanks, Corey, for being here. Thank you to everyone for being
here.
here. Catch us back here next Wednesday at 9 a.m. for our next episode of our Caff-AI Chats. You can also find me every day, all day on LinkedIn. My next live will be this afternoon or later on at 11 a.m. Central Time, where we'll talk about all things LinkedIn and those who are doing well on LinkedIn as part of social selling. I talk about how sales, AI, and humanity can come together. This is the AI portion of that conversation track. So I want to again thank everyone for being here. I look forward to seeing everyone here next week or at any of the other lives I have going on the rest of the week. Otherwise, have a wonderful rest of your day. Happy hump day, and we'll see you guys back soon. Thank you. All right, I'm going to end the stream, so bear with me for one moment.